The Highlands stretch far and wide, their emerald peaks glistening under the soft embrace of the morning sun. The air is cool and carries the faint aroma of earth and dew, mingling with the distant hum of life stirring in the valley below. It's not just a place. It's a feeling, a rhythm, and a story waiting to unfold. These lands, timeless and unyielding, cradle secrets of a people whose traditions have endured for centuries. Today, we're here for one such story, delicately wrapped in the folds of Kalaneh bread. This is no ordinary bread. It's a recipe, yes, but also a memory, a connection between past and present. They say that to understand a culture, you must taste its bread. And here, in the heart of Kurdistan, Kalaneh is more than sustenance. It's a symbol of resilience, unity, and the deep ties between a people and their land. The journey begins with a walk along ancient trails, pathways carved not by modern feet, but by generations of shepherds, villagers, and travelers. Every step echoes with history. The rugged terrain tells tales of survival, and as you ascend, the sounds of the modern world fade. Instead, there's bird song, the occasional rustle of wind through tall grass, and the distant laughter of children. Life here feels simpler, unhurried, yet profoundly rich. The village comes into view like a postcard brought to life. Modest homes, built with stones from the surrounding hills, stand steadfast against time. Smoke curls gently from chimneys, carrying the promise of warmth and sustenance. It's morning, and the heart of the village beats steadily in the open courtyards where bread-making begins. This isn't just about food. It's a daily ritual, a shared act that weaves the community together. Elders sit cross-legged on woven mats, their hands busy but their spirits unhurried. They knead dough with practiced precision, their movements as rhythmic as a lullaby. The dough is soft, pliable, and forgiving, a canvas ready to embrace the flavors of the land. Wild herbs, freshly gathered from the hills, wait patiently in baskets. Their fragrance is sharp, almost peppery, hinting at the boldness they'll bring to the bread. You can't help but notice the hands at work, callous, strong, and weathered by years of toil. They tell a story, too, one of labor and love, of shaping more than bread but also the identity of a people. As the dough is rolled out, conversations flow, not in hurried tones, but in the slow, deliberate cadence of those who understand the value of time. In Kurdistan, bread making is not relegated to the kitchen. It spills out into the open air, where the saj, a dome-shaped griddle, sits atop a crackling fire. The saj isn't just a cooking tool. It's a legacy handed down through generations, carrying the spirit of those who've used it before. A young woman gently lays a round of dough onto its surface. The hiss of contact is immediate, followed by the faint puff of steam. As the bread cooks, its aroma wafts through the courtyard, mingling with the earthy scent of burning wood. Nearby, a small boy plays with a wooden stick, tracing invisible patterns in the dirt. He pauses to watch his grandmother spread a handful of herbs onto another round of dough. She catches his gaze and smiles, a smile that holds both tenderness and pride. She gestures for him to come closer, handing him a small piece of dough to try. His laughter rings out as he mimics her movements, clumsily flattening the dough with his tiny hands. This moment, fleeting yet profound, feels universal. It's not just about Kalaneh. It's about heritage, about passing down traditions not through words but through shared actions. It's about creating memories that linger long after the bread is eaten. The day wears on, but the rhythm of life here remains steady. Visitors like us are rare, but the villagers welcome the curious with open hearts and warm smiles. They invite you to sit, to taste, to experience. A piece of freshly made Kalaneh is offered, thin, slightly crisp at the edges, soft at the center. The herbs burst with flavor, a perfect complement to the subtle warmth of the bread itself. It's simple, yet it holds a complexity that words struggle to capture. As the sun begins its descent, painting the sky in hues of amber and gold, the villagers gather for a communal meal. Plates of food are shared, but it's the Kalaneh that takes center stage. Around the table, There are no barriers of language or culture. There's only the sound of laughter, the clinking of glasses, and the silent acknowledgement that in this moment we're all connected, by bread, by stories, by the enduring spirit of the Highlands. This is the beginning of the journey, a glimpse into the soul of a people and their traditions. Tomorrow may bring new stories, but for now, the story of Kalaneh reminds us of the beauty found in the simplest of things. Long ago, in the heart of the Kurdish Highlands, Kalaneh was more than just a staple. It was a lifeline. Villages were isolated, often tucked away between rugged mountains where winters stretched long and unforgiving. Life depended on the earth's generosity and the ingenuity of its people. This bread, thin and unassuming, emerged not out of luxury but necessity, a humble creation born of what the land could provide. Yet in its simplicity, it carried the essence of survival and unity. There's a story often told among the elders, a tale of a young shepherd named Dara who lived centuries ago. Dara tended his flock high in the hills, often spending weeks away from his family. One harsh winter, he found himself stranded, cut off by a sudden snowstorm. With no supplies but a small pouch of flour, he relied on his resourcefulness. Gathering herbs he recognized from his mother's teachings, he mixed them into a simple dough, cooking it on flat stones heated by his fire. That bread, a precursor to what we now call Kalaneh, sustained him until the storm passed. When Dara finally returned to his village, he brought with him more than just his sheep. He carried a recipe that would become a symbol of resilience for his people. Legends like Dara's illustrate how Kalaneh transcended its role as mere sustenance. It became a storyteller in its own right, weaving memories and values into every bite. Families handed down their methods and variations, each adding something unique while preserving the soul of the recipe. For some, the bread was enriched with cheese. For others, it was the wild herbs hand-picked from hillsides that made it special. These herbs weren't just ingredients. They were part of the landscape, deeply tied to the identity of those who gathered them. Kalaneh also held a ceremonial role, making appearances at festivals, weddings, and gatherings. Its preparation was often a communal act, with multiple generations working together. Grandmothers would sit at the head of the circle, guiding younger hands in the art of dough-making. The children, eager to contribute, would venture into the hills to collect herbs, learning which plants were prized for their flavor and which should be avoided. These moments weren't just about preparing food. They were lessons in heritage, an unspoken promise that the next generation would carry these traditions forward. During times of hardship, Kalaneh took on an even deeper significance. Stories from older generations speak of lean years when flour was scarce, and families had to stretch every resource. The bread would be made thinner, the herbs more sparingly used, but its presence at the table was unwavering. It symbolized hope and continuity, a reminder that even in the harshest conditions, the spirit of the community endured. But not all stories tied to Kalaneh are solemn. Some are light-hearted, told with laughter over shared meals. One such tale recounts the mischief of a bride's younger siblings at a village wedding. Tradition held that the first Kalaneh of the celebration would be offered to the newlyweds as a blessing. The younger children, impatient and hungry, couldn't resist the aroma of the freshly baked bread. They snatched it away before it could be presented, leaving the elders scrambling to prepare another batch in time. The bride laughed, forgiving their antics, and declared that it must be a sign of good fortune. From that day on, it became customary to bake extra Kalaneh for weddings, ensuring there would always be enough to go around. Such anecdotes highlight the bread's role in fostering connection. It wasn't just food to be consumed. It was a shared experience, a bridge between individuals and generations. Every piece of Kalaneh told a story, not only of those who made it, but also of those who shared it. It carried whispers of joy and sorrow, of celebration and perseverance, binding people together in a way that words alone could not. Kalaneh's story is also a reflection of the Kurdish spirit, adaptable, resourceful, and deeply rooted in the land. The bread evolved over time, incorporating influences from trade routes and neighboring cultures while staying true to its origins. Yet, no matter where you tasted it, whether in a bustling city market or a quiet mountain village, Kalaneh remained distinctly Kurdish. It was a piece of home, a reminder of the Highlands and the people who called them their own. Today, as Kalaneh continues to be made and shared, it carries the weight of these stories. It reminds us of those who came before, whose hands shaped each loaf with care and purpose. It speaks of a time when life was simpler but no less rich. And in every bite, it offers a connection, not only to history but also to the enduring strength of tradition. The making of Kalaneh begins long before the dough is mixed. It starts in the Highlands, where the earth provides its treasures to those willing to look. Early in the morning, villagers head to the hills, baskets in hand, searching for the wild herbs that will give the bread its signature flavor. These herbs, sharp, aromatic, and vibrant, are the soul of Kalaneh. Chives, fenugreek, and other greens grow abundantly here, thriving in the cool mountain air. Each herb is chosen with care, its selection guided by both tradition and instinct. The gathering itself is a ritual, a quiet communion with the land that has sustained the Kurdish people for generations. Once the herbs are collected, the focus shifts to the dough. It is a simple mixture: flour, water, and a pinch of salt. But simplicity doesn't mean carelessness. The dough must be just right. Neither too sticky nor too dry, soft enough to roll but sturdy enough to hold the filling. The process is intuitive, perfected over years of practice. Hands move deftly, kneading and folding, coaxing the dough into readiness. There's no rush. The rhythm is steady, almost meditative. It's in this rhythm that the essence of tradition is preserved. The herbs are washed and chopped finely, their fresh, green aroma filling the air. They are mixed with a touch of olive oil and sometimes a sprinkle of salt, creating a filling that is both humble and flavorful. In some households, the recipe is slightly altered, perhaps with the addition of a little crushed garlic or a handful of finely crumbled cheese. Each variation is a reflection of the family's unique preferences, but the foundation remains the same. The herbs are always the star, a reminder of the land's generosity. With the dough and filling ready, it's time to assemble the Kalaneh. The dough is divided into small portions, each rolled out into a thin, round sheet. This is done with precision, the circular shape achieved through practiced hands that know the exact pressure to apply. A generous spoonful of the herb mixture is spread across one half of the dough, and then it is folded over, sealing the filling inside. The edges are pinched together with care, creating a crescent that is both delicate and robust. The cooking itself is an art form. The saj, a domed metal griddle, sits over an open flame. It's heated until it reaches the perfect temperature, hot enough to cook the bread quickly, but not so hot that it burns. The dough is placed gently onto the saj, and within moments, it begins to transform. The surface puffs slightly, the edges crisp, and the herbs inside release their aroma, mingling with the subtle smokiness of the fire. This is where the magic happens, where simple ingredients become something greater than the sum of their parts. Each Kalaneh is cooked with attention and care, turned over to ensure even cooking, and removed at just the right moment. There's no timer, no precise measurement. Only experience and intuition guide the process. The result is a bread that is golden and slightly charred in places, thin but sturdy, and bursting with the vibrant flavors of the herbs. As the Kalaneh comes off the saj, it is placed onto a waiting plate or wooden board, sometimes brushed lightly with olive oil for an extra touch of richness. It is served immediately, while the bread is still warm and the filling fragrant. In many households, the first piece is offered to an elder, a gesture of respect and gratitude. Others may gather around, breaking the bread together, each bite a shared moment of connection. The process of making Kalaneh is not just about food. It is about continuity. It's a ritual that links the past to the present, a practice that has endured despite the challenges faced by the Kurdish people. Every step, from gathering herbs to kneading dough to cooking on the saj, is a testament to the resilience and ingenuity of those who came before. It is an act of preservation, a way of keeping tradition alive in a world that is constantly changing. Even as modern conveniences have made their way into village life, the making of Kalaneh remains largely unchanged. It is still a communal activity, often accompanied by quiet conversations or the laughter of children playing nearby. It is a moment of pause in the day, a time to connect not only with each other, but also with the land and its rhythms. In every Kalaneh, there is a story. It is the story of the herbs, of the hands that shaped the dough, of the saj that cooked it to perfection. It is a story of a people who have held on to their traditions with quiet determination, ensuring that something as simple as bread continues to carry the weight of history, the flavor of the land, and the spirit of community. As the first bite of Kalaneh melts on the tongue, it offers more than flavor. It carries the richness of tradition, the vibrancy of the Highlands, and the quiet strength of a people who have endured. The bread, simple in its ingredients yet profound in its meaning, embodies the Kurdish way of life, a life rooted in community, resilience, and a deep connection to the land. Kalaneh isn't just a meal. It's a story, a piece of heritage that transcends generations. For those who grew up in the Highlands, the taste of Kalaneh is inseparable from the memories it holds. It's the scent of freshly cooked bread wafting through a courtyard, mingling with the laughter of family members gathered to share a meal. It's the texture of the dough, soft yet sturdy, reminding them of the hands that prepared it with care. The herbs, with their bold and earthy flavor, evoke images of hillsides where they were picked, often in the early morning when the air was still crisp. Every bite is a connection to home, to the land that shaped their identity. Kalaneh is more than just a culinary tradition. It's a reflection of Kurdish values. At its heart lies the spirit of sharing, a belief that food is meant to bring people together. In Kurdish culture, meals are rarely solitary affairs. The act of breaking bread is symbolic, a gesture of hospitality and unity. Whether it's a humble family dinner or a grand celebration, Kalaneh often takes center stage, its presence a reminder of the bonds that tie individuals to their community. But Kalaneh also speaks to something larger, the idea of preservation in the face of change. For the Kurdish people, whose history is marked by struggle and displacement, traditions like bread-making serve as anchors. They are reminders of who they are and where they come from, even when the world around them shifts. Kalaneh carries with it the stories of those who refuse to let their culture fade, who pass down their knowledge not in books but in the folds of dough, in the crackle of fire beneath a saj, in the shared act of creating something beautiful and enduring. This bread is not confined to the past. It has adapted, evolving with the times while remaining true to its roots. Today, you might find Kalaneh in bustling markets, sold by street vendors who cook it on portable saj griddles. In urban kitchens, modern tools may replace the traditional methods, but the essence of the bread remains unchanged. Even in these new contexts, Kalaneh continues to serve as a bridge, connecting rural traditions to city life, linking generations through a shared love for its taste and meaning. For visitors encountering Kalaneh for the first time, it's an entry point into Kurdish culture. The bread offers a tangible connection to the Highlands, to the people who inhabit them, and to the stories embedded in every fold of dough. It's a way of understanding a place not through words or images, but through the senses, through the warmth of freshly cooked bread, the tang of wild herbs, and the smoky aroma of a saj fire. It's an invitation to experience not just a dish but a way of life. Kalaneh also has a way of sparking reflection for those unfamiliar with its origins. It raises questions about their own traditions and the stories tied to the foods they grew up with. What dishes remind them of home? What flavors evoke memories of family gatherings, of childhood, of love and belonging? In this way, Kalaneh becomes more than just Kurdish bread. It becomes a symbol of the universal human experience, of the ways we use food to connect, to preserve, to celebrate. Even as the world grows more fast-paced and globalized, Kalaneh remains a constant in Kurdish life. Its enduring presence is a testament to the strength of tradition, to the power of a simple recipe to carry history forward. In every village where Kalaneh is made, In every home where it is shared, there is a quiet act of resistance, a refusal to let the past be forgotten, a commitment to keeping culture alive through the rituals of everyday life. As the day winds down in the Highlands, families gather around a table, their conversations soft yet lively, their plates filled with Kalaneh. In this moment, there is no rush, no distractions, only the warmth of bread, the comfort of togetherness, and the enduring connection to a land that has given them so much. For the Kurdish people, Kalaneh is more than sustenance. It is home. It is memory. It is legacy. In the end, Kalaneh reminds us of something profound in its simplicity, the power of tradition to endure, the strength of community to uplift, and the beauty of the small, everyday acts that keep a culture alive. Through its flavor, its story, and its place in Kurdish life, Kalaneh speaks to something universal, a shared humanity that can be tasted in every bite. And that is the true gift of this humble yet extraordinary bread.